Friends, what's causing these cries of anguish? Why have you come here with prayer branches and garlands? The breath of incense rises from the city with the sound of hymns and lamentation. But I'm glad you're here. Now we're face to face. That's the way it should be. There's no need for us to speak through messengers who might misinterpret our words. You there, you're a priest, are you not? Tell me what's brought you all here. Is there something you need? Is there something you fear? Tell me. And never doubt that I'll help you. What sort of a king would I be if I hadn't enough compassion to help you, my very own subjects?
Great Oedipus and powerful king of Thebes. Yes, I'm a priest of the temple of Zeus. You see how our people are gathered here before you. Here are children and their mothers and fathers. And here are some whose backs are bent with years. Your own eyes must tell you, Thebes is tossed on a battering sea and cannot raise her head from its murderous waves. A cancer consumes the buds and fruits of the earth. Our livestock drop dead as they graze. And our women have all become barren. The few who are conceived are born dead. A deadly pestilence has taken our Thebes within its murderous grip, and all the house of Cadmus is laid waste, emptied of its people, reduced to darkness. Death alone silences our moans and cries of despair. We have not come because we believe you to be a god. But out of all the men we know, we think you are the wisest in the ways of the gods. It was you who came to us, saved us from that witch, the Sphinx, who held us captive in dreadful fear within the walls of the city and forced us to pay tribute to her for so long. Yet you possessed no better knowledge than us, nor were you better informed. It was as if some god breathed in you the wisdom necessary to set us free. Therefore, Oedipus, greatest in all men's eyes, we turn to you. Find us our safety. Find us a remedy once again. Be inspired by your past glories and act well. This land calls you to be its savior once again. Think how all men call you liberator for your triumph long ago. When your years of kingship are remembered, let them not say, we rose, but later fell. Keep the state from going down in this storm. Once, years ago, you brought us fortune with a happy omen. Be the same again. No man questions your power to rule the land, but rule over men, not over a dead city. No edifice, no monument is worth anything unlived in. The life of a city is in its people. The rest is nothing.
I pity you. But understand that before I came here, I knew your story. I know that you are deathly sick. And yet, sick as you are, not one here is as sick as I am. Each of you suffers your own grief alone, your anguish, not another's. But my spirit groans for the city, for myself, and for you. I'm not like a man you've roused from sleep. I've shed many tears for your suffering, and have followed my thoughts down many paths seeking a solution. In all my search, I found one helpful course, and that I've taken. I've sent Creon, brother of my queen, to Delphi, to find out there, if he can, what act or pledge of mine might save Thebes, our city. I've counted the days, and now, this very day, I'm troubled, for he's overstayed his time. He's been gone too long. But when he returns, if I don't do all the God commands, I wouldn't be worthy to be your king.
It's a timely promise. At this instant, I see Creon coming. Yes, I see him.
And with a smiling face, we'll soon know. He's near enough to hear us now. Brother-in-law, what answer do you bring us from the god?
A strong one. I can tell you, when the crooked is set straight, our sorrows shall turn to joy. In the final reckoning, all will be well.
What was the oracle? These vague words leave me hanging between hope and fear.
Is it your pleasure to hear me with the city gathered around us? I'm prepared to speak, but shouldn't we go in?
Let them all hear it. It's for them I suffer more than for myself.
Then I'll tell you what I heard at Delphi. In plain words, the god commands us to expel from the land of Thebes an unclean thing we have sheltered and nursed on our soil, which must be driven out and not allowed to remain and destroy us.
What unclean thing? And how shall we rid ourselves of it?
By banishing a man or by his death. Blood for blood. It was a murder that brought this vile plague to our city.
Murder? Of whom? Surely the god has named him.
My lord, long ago Laius was our king before you came to rule us.
Yes, of course, I've heard of him, but as you know, I never knew him.
He was murdered. And Apollo commands us now to take revenge upon whomever killed him.
Where shall we find a clue to solve that crime after so many years?
Here in this land. The god said, that which is sought will be found, but that which is left unattended escapes.
Tell me, was Laius murdered in the city, in the fields, or in some foreign country?
He was traveling. He set out but never returned.
And there was no one, no witness, no companion to tell what happened?
They were all killed but one, and he fled in terror, so frightened he could remember but one detail.
What was it? Even the smallest clue might be the key to everything.
He said that robbers, not one but many, attacked them, overwhelmed them, and outnumbered the king.
What robbers would be so daring to attack a king? Unless they were paid to do it by someone from inside the city.
We thought the same. But then, after Laius' murder, new troubles arose that we had to deal with.
What new troubles could prevent your hunting down the killers of your king?
The Sphinx, with her riddles, forced us to neglect this crime. We had to seek a solution to the troubles at hand.
I'll bring this to light again. It's fitting that Apollo took care about the dead. I'll stand by you to avenge the city and the city's gods. And I'll act on my own behalf to do this. Whoever killed Laius might, who knows, may decide at any moment to kill me as well. By avenging the murdered king, I protect myself. Come, everyone, leave the altar steps. Let everyone be summoned. Let it be known, I'll do all I can to avenge your late king's murder. The gods decide whether we see truth or remain in darkness.
Let us go, children. Now the king has promised us all that we have asked of him. May Apollo, who gave us the oracle, reveal how we should drive this evil out.
message from the gods comes to Thebes. Now the temple of Apollo showers us with golden words. But I tremble in fear for what shall be told. And my heart is racked with terror for what will come. Apollo, I call on you to heal us. I call on you to cleanse us with your undying light. But I wait, overcome with hope and dread.
I call on you, Athena, deathless daughter of Zeus, and to Artemis, her sister, upholder of the earth, who sits in the marketplace in the throne we call fame, and Apollo, who skirts the rims of heaven. O masters of fate, if ever we needed you, we need you now. Pluck the seeds of our sorrow from our land, and where misfortune rises up, cut it down.
Our afflictions are too many to count. The ship's timbers are rotten and falling on our head. Mere thinking cannot drive away the plague. Our children are stunted and dying, and the cry of the newborn is no longer heard within our city walls. Our lives like birds fly more quickly than the wind spreads fire to where the western shore, where Hades waits.
Our city groans and dies with its people. The children that are born lie dead on the earth, unmourned and spreading the contagion of death. Gray-haired mothers and young wives stand at the altar of gods, moaning and striking their breasts, and hymns to Apollo are drowned out by wailing voices. O Athena, wake us from the nightmare of our agony.
There is no clash of swords and shields, but our fight is with Ares, a savage god who surrounds us with fire. May the gods grant that he be chased to the sea, where the tempestuous waves deny strangers safe passage. But the night spares, the light of day reveals, and so Zeus, god of thunder, will strike down our cruel enemy with fire that carries thunder.
Let Apollo shoot flashing arrows from heaven, born of the golden bow of the fiery sun. Let the gleaming torches of Artemis light the hills that surround our city. Let Dionysus, flushed with wind and wine, and surrounded by a storm of women devotees, hasten death away. For the God that is our enemy is a God unsung among the gods.
You've prayed, and now your prayers will be answered. Hear what I have to say, and together we'll fight this plague. I'm a stranger to this story and to this crime. Alone, I cannot solve it. But now, friends, hear what I say. Whoever knows who killed Laius must confess what he knows to me, no matter what he fears for having so long withheld it. His punishment shall not be death. His fate will be no worse than banishment. Moreover, if any of you know the murderer to be a foreigner, still let him speak. I'll pay him handsomely for this information. But if one of you keeps silent, if one of you tries to shield a guilty friend, hear what I will do. I will command that this man, whoever he is, be driven from his home as if he himself were the murderer. I further pronounce that no man in Thebes shall speak to him, join him in sacrifice to the gods, or even give him water to wash his hands. I will command all Thebans to drive him from their homes. Apollo declared this man to be an infection, to be expelled. And I'll be the champion of the god and the murdered king. As for the killer, whether he be one man or one of several, I invoke this curse. May he only find misery and wretchedness. And if, with my knowledge, he lives in my house, I deem it right that I be cursed. And for the sake of Apollo, and for the city we call home, I call on you to help me carry out this duty. Even if this was not a matter of a God's decree, it's not right that we leave a king's murder unsolved. We must purify ourselves. It's for you to see this faithfully carried out as a duty bound to me, to the God, and to our suffering, plague-tormented country. I now rule in Laius' place. I have his bed and the wife that was once his. Had he lived to conceive sons and daughters, they would be my children's brothers and sisters. I take up his cause as if he were my own father. I'll not rest until the murderer of Laius is found and punished. As for those who ignore my decrees, I say, may the gods deny them the fruit of the earth and the fruit of the womb, and may they rot utterly. As for you, loyal Thebans, who hear my word and obey my command, may justice be your ally, and all the immortal gods grant you favor.
Since you hold us all to your proclamations, I will speak. I didn't kill the king, and I don't know who did. Let Apollo, who ordained this search, name the guilty one.
An honest answer, but no man may make the gods say more than they will.
Then we must consider a second way.
Tell me, and I'll consider it, even a third, if necessary.
What Apollo sees, more often than not, the prophet Tiresias also sees. Consult him, and we may find what is unknown to us.
Creon advised exactly that, and I've sent for him already, twice in fact. It's strange he's not here.
Without his vision, we only have rumors to guide us.
Rumors? What rumors? Tell me. We must examine all reports.
It was said that Laius was killed by travelers on the road.
Yes, I've heard that, but what man saw the killer, and where can he be found?
If there is such a man, surely your curse will bring him out of hiding.
No. The man who dared kill a king will fear no curse.
Wait, look. Here comes the blind prophet now. He alone will speak the truth.
Tiresias, you have no eyes, but your inner vision can tell us what can be done about the plague that afflicts our city. We've sent to the oracle of Apollo, and he's answered. The only way of deliverance from our plague is to find out the killers of Laius, and either kill them or expel them from our country. Can you divine anything from the ways of prophecy to purify yourself and Thebes and me from this contagion? We are in your hands. There's no greater duty than that of helping others in distress.
Wisdom is terrible when it brings no profit to the man that becomes wise. I have forgotten myself. I should not have come.
It seems you bring us little encouragement.
Let me go home. You must bear your own fate. I'll bear mine. It's better this way. Trust what I say.
What you say is ungracious. and unhelpful to your native country. Now is not the time to refuse to speak.
When it comes to words, sir, your own will lead you to no good end.
What does that mean? If you know something, tell us. Will you do nothing and let Thebes be destroyed?
What I know will only torture you and me. Don't question me further. Don't waste your breath. I'll tell you nothing.
Your conceit would provoke a stone to move. Have you no pity? Don't offend me. Tell us what you know.
My conceit is nothing to yours. If you could only see the nature of your own feelings.
Who would not feel the way I do? Who could endure your arrogance towards the city?
What is to come will come, whether I speak of it or not.
If it is bound to come, then tell me.
I'll say nothing further. Rage as you please.
Rage! Well, why not? And I'll tell you what I think. You were a part of the plot. If you had eyes, I'd say you alone murdered Laius. But since you have neither strength nor sight, I must conclude that you conspired with others.
If that's what you think, I suggest you obey your own proclamation. From this day forward, speak no word of greetings to me or any citizen of Thebes. It's you who have defiled the city.
You dare to say that? Can you possibly think you'll go free after such insolence?
I have gone free, because I have the truth, and that's my strength.
And who has taught you to be shameless? Surely not the gods.
You did, because you made me speak against my will.
Speak what? I have no idea what you're talking about.
Did you not understand before? Or are you trying to provoke me into saying more?
I didn't understand. Say it again.
I say you are the murderer you seek.
You cannot say this twice and remain unpunished.
Shall I further tempt your anger? I can say more.
Say what you like. Whatever you say is worthless.
I say you live in hideous shame with those most close to you, and you can't see the evil.
Do you imagine you can say such things and not suffer the consequences?
I can if there's power in truth.
There is, but not for you. You're ignorant and deaf as well as blind.
You are to be pitied. You taunt me with insults which will be flung back at you.
Your life is an endless night. You can't hurt me or anyone else who can see the sun.
True. It's not for me to decide your fate. That's in Apollo's hands, and he will do it.
Tell me, was this plan your devising, or was it Crayon's?
Forget Crayon. You are the enemy you seek.
Wealth, sovereignty, and statesmanship. What terrible envy is stored up in these. If Crayon, who I thought was my friend and loyal subject, can secretly attack me, can devise to drive me out and conspire with this decrepit fortune-teller, then let all our treasure chests be filled with great stores of jealousy. You are called a prophet, but blindness is your only talent, and you have eyes for only your own reward. Tell me this. Where was your foresight when the Sphinx occupied your country? Did you speak a word to deliver its citizens? I'm more of a prophet than you are, for isn't the solving of riddles the undertaking of a prophet? Clearly, you have no gift for prophecy from the gods or anyone else. Look at the evidence. I, Oedipus, a simple man who knew nothing, solved the riddle with nothing but my own wits. I had no knowledge from signs or omens or from gods. And now, you're ready to drive me out so that you can have a place by Crayon's throne. Oh, I think you both will be very sorry you ever plotted to drive me out. If you weren't an old man, I would have already taught you how to suffer.
Great king, We have listened to his words and yours and find that both were spoken in anger. Angry words cannot help us. What concerns us now is to interpret the words of Apollo.
You are king, but I have the right to speak against you. I'm not your slave. I'm the servant of Apollo. I have no need of crayon to speak for me. And since you've taunted me with being blind, here's what I say to you. You have your eyes, but cannot see your own wretchedness. You don't know where you live or know the people you live with. Do you know who your parents are? Your blindness has made you an enemy to your house and your family. You have defiled them. You have committed crimes against both your mother and your father, and you will be driven from this land in darkness. You will wander and not find a home for your misery. An infant's cries will echo in these mountains when you learn the terrible secret of your marriage. The fate which steered you to this house has betrayed you and established a cruel bond between you and your children. You know nothing. So curse my words and curse crayon. You will be remembered only for your misery.
Am I to bear this from him? Go! Out of this place! Out of my sight!
I would never have come if you had not asked me.
If I'd known you were going to talk like a fool, I never would have sent for you.
A fool. Your parents thought me wise.
My parents? Again? Wait. Who do you think my parents are?
Today you will learn of your birth, and it will destroy you.
More infantile riddles at a time when we need clarity.
You were a great man once at solving riddles.
Mock me with that if you like. You will find it true.
It was true enough, and that very talent will bring about your ruin.
If it saved Thebes, I don't care.
Boy, give me your hand.
Yes, boy, lead him away. Well, you are here. You are nothing but a hindrance and a vexation. Leave us in peace.
I have said what I came to say. I have not feared meeting you face to face, because I know the truth will protect me. And I tell you again, the man you are looking for, the man who murdered Laius, the man you have cursed and threatened, is here in Thebes. You think he is a stranger, but he will soon be shown to be a true Theban. He's a blind man who has eyes, a beggar who has great wealth, and he will soon begin a long journey, tapping his staff before him. He'll discover that he's both father and brother to his children, and a son and husband to his wife, who came to his father's bed wet with his father's blood. Now, King, go think that over. And if later you find error in what I have said, you may truly say I have no skill in prophecy.
The prophetic stones of Delphi denounce a king's murder, yet dare not name the doer. Unpunished, with hands steeped in blood, it's time for the killer to fly like the speed of horses. For the child of Zeus chases him with fire and with thunder from his father. The Furies have been awakened, and they never fail.
From high atop Mount Parnassus, a voice calls on every Theban to hunt down a killer. Though he may hide in a treacherous forest or hole up in a cave, his feet cannot carry his desolate soul far enough from the earth's bosom to outrun the gods' bitter prophecies. The Furies fly about him and sting at his thoughts.
Tiresias, who should be versed in the interpretation of fate, has confused us all. I cannot tell if what he said was true, but I don't like it. The city is now a hive of foreboding. I know of no quarrel between Thebes' royal palace and Polybus, father of Oedipus, that explains the prophet's attack of our respected king.
Gods are divine and must know all. But prophets are men and subject to human frailty. I say that those who find fault with Oedipus must prove their accusations beyond doubt. His wisdom and judgment were demonstrated when the Sphinx oppressed us and tested his mind. He saved Thebes, and I'll not condemn him yet.
I have come because I heard the king is spreading vicious rumors about me. If Oedipus believes he's been wronged by anything I said or did, I must set the record straight. I refuse to silently accept a report that unjustly slanders my name. I refuse to be called a traitor to my city, a traitor to my friends.
He may have spoken in anger, not from his true judgment.
But did he say I schemed with the prophet and urged him to lie?
Yes, that was said, but no evidence was given.
But you were watching him. Did he look like a man in command of his faculties?
I don't know. I can't judge the behavior of great men. But here he comes.
So you're back. How brazen of you. Do you think I'm blind? Do you think I don't know you plotted to kill me? Tell me to my face what cowardice or stupidity you saw in me that made you think you could get away with stealing my crown. Did you imagine I wouldn't see your cunning and fight back? You're the fool, Crayon. Hoping without friends or support to win a throne. Thrones may be forcibly taken or bought. You could do neither.
Now listen to me. You've spoken, let me speak too. Let me defend myself before you pass judgment.
I know you speak well. I also know you're my enemy.
Hear what I have to say first.
Don't waste your time if you're going to say you're not guilty.
Do you think there's anything good in being stubborn against all reason? Then I say you're wrong.
And if you think you can commit crimes and not be punished because you're my wife's brother, then I say you're wrong.
I agree. But tell me, what have I done to you?
Did you, or did you not urge me to send for the blind prophet?
I did, and I would do it again.
Very well. Then tell me, how long has it been since Laius...
What of Laius?
When did he disappear? When was he murdered?
It was long ago, a long time.
And our blind prophet was still practicing here then?
He was, and with honor, as he is now.
Did he speak about me at that time?
He never did, at least not when I was present.
When Laius failed to return, why didn't you search for him?
We did, but we learnt nothing.
And your wise old prophet remained silent then?
I don't know. And I'm the kind of man who holds his tongue when he has no facts to go.
Oh, there's a fact you do know, and you could tell it.
What fact is that? If I know it, I will tell you.
Well, then tell me this. Why didn't he accuse me of killing Laius when I first came here?
If he says you murdered Laius, then perhaps I should be questioning you.
Ask what you like. I'm no murderer.
Well, first then, you married my sister.
Yes, I married your sister.
And you share the kingdom equally with her.
She has everything she wants from me.
And I am the third, equal to you both.
Exactly, which is why it's despicable that you're the one that's plotting against me.
You're not looking at it from my point of view. Consider this. Who would rather rule and fear than rule and sleep untroubled if his influence and power were equal in both cases? I wasn't born with an ambition to be king, but rather the desire to have the sway and authority of a king. And so it is with any sober-minded man. If I were king, I should have to do much that's against my nature. As it stands now, I have all the benefits of being king without any of the responsibility. Now, every man serves my pleasure. Every man salutes me. Their success depends on my favor. Why should I give up the ease of my present circumstance for the burden of being king? Wise men are not traitors, and I'm no lover of treason. My nature is such, I would never join a plot to overthrow a king. Test what I've said. Go to the priestess at Delphi. Ask if I'm telling the truth about the oracle. And if I'm found guilty of treason with Tiresias, then sentence me to death. You have my word, it's a sentence I should cast my vote for, but not without evidence. To mistake an honest man for a traitor is as bad as to mistake a traitor for an honest man. If you banish a true friend, your life will be poorer because of it. In time, you will know this well. A day is enough to discover a traitor, but time and time alone is the only test of an honest man.
This is well said, and a prudent man would ponder it. Judgments too quickly formed are dangerous.
Would you have me stand here, hold my peace, and let him win everything through my inaction?
What do you want then, to banish me?
No, not your exile. It's your death I want, so that all the world can see what treason looks like.
This is madness.
I must protect myself. I am king.
And I deserve no protection, no delay of judgment.
You are evil incarnate.
And what if you're wrong?
I'm still king.
And what if this king rules badly?
Oh, Thebes! Thebes!
I'm a citizen too here. It's not only your city.
Now, my lords, be still. I see Iocaste coming from the house. Perhaps the queen can lay this quarrel to rest.
What is this? While you two are quarreling among yourselves, the city is dying. Aren't you ashamed to be so petty? Oedipus, go into the house. Creon, follow him there. Don't add to the troubles we already face.
Sister, your husband has determined to either banish me or kill me.
He's right. I've caught him squarely plotting against my life.
May I die cursed. May the gods never hear me if I am guilty of one part of what I am accused.
Oedipus, he's called on the gods. Respect this oath of his for my sake, for the sake of our people.
Good king, listen to her, I beg you.
What would you have me do?
Spare him. Let the gods punish him if he lies now. In the past, he has been a true ally.
You know what you ask.
I do.
Speak on.
His record of past friendship must speak to his innocence until there is more evidence.
You must realize that if I grant your request, it may well lead to my death and my banishment.
May Apollo protect you from such a fate. May I die cursed by the gods and without friends if I had such a thought. My spirit is distressed by what is happening in Thebes, and the killing of a friend would only add to the troubles we already face.
Then let him go. Just remember that if I'm murdered or sent dishonored into exile, it's your words, not his, that move me to pity. Wherever he is, I'll consider him my enemy.
Ugly and yielding and dangerous in rage, natures like yours only torment themselves.
Get out of my sight!
You've not known me, but the city knows me and sees my innocence.
Great queen, will you take the king inside and calm him?
First, tell me what has happened.
On one side, some unwarranted suspicion. On the other side, the sting of injustice.
So both were to blame.
Yes, both sides.
How did it start?
It's best to leave it and move on. Have we not suffered enough?
It's because of your judgment that our difficulties remain. I was ready to act.
Great king, I've said it before and I say it again. I would have to be a madman to accuse you of betraying Thebes. You have guided us to safety when we were beset with troubles. I entreat the gods to grant you the judgment to rescue us from our present danger.
Oedipus, tell me everything. Tell me what has happened.
I'll tell you. You're the only one here I can trust. It's Creon. He's plotting against me.
Go on. How did it start?
He has accused me of the murder of Laius.
Has he any evidence? Or is this based on accusation and rumor?
He doesn't accuse me directly. He sent the prophet Tiresias to speak for him.
This accusation is based on prophecy. It is of no concern to us. Mortal men cannot prophesize what's unknown. Of this I have proof. An oracle was once delivered to Laius, not by Apollo himself, but from his ministers. And it proclaimed that it was Laius's fate to be murdered by his son, a son to be born to Laius and me. And you see how it turned out? Laius wasn't killed by our son, but by robbers from a strange country where three roads meet. After our son was 3 days old, Laius pierced the infant's ankles and instructed a shepherd to abandon him in the mountains. So you see, Apollo declared our son would murder him. And it wasn't Laius's fate to be killed by his son. In this case, the oracle was clearly wrong.
I had an odd sensation just now while you were speaking. It chilled my heart.
What is it? What is it about my story that troubled you?
If I understand you, Laius was killed at a place where 3 roads meet.
So it was said. We had never heard anything to suggest it was wrong.
Where did it happen?
The country's called Phocis. There the road splits. One road goes to Delphi, the other to Daulia.
When?
When? Why, just after you saved the city and became our king. What is it, Oedipus? What is it that troubles you?
God, what fate have you laid on me?
Oedipus, why does this trouble you?
Don't ask me to explain first. Tell me what Laius looked like and how old he was.
His height was similar to yours. His hair just touched with white.
God, I think I have cursed myself.
What is it, Oedipus? It makes me tremble to look at you.
I'm not sure the blind prophet can't see, but first, tell me one thing.
You frighten me. But ask me what you want. I'll tell you.
How many men were traveling with him? He was a ruler, so he must have had many servants.
There were 5 in the group. 3 bodyguards and a servant. Laius alone was on horseback.
Now it becomes clear. Who told you he was killed by robbers?
The household servant. He was the only one to escape.
Is he still a servant of our house?
No. When you replaced Laius as king, he came to me and asked that I send him back to the fields. He didn't want to live in the city anymore. Though he was a slave, he was a good and honest man, so I granted his request and sent him away.
Can you send for him now?
I can, but why?
I've said too much already. I need to speak with this shepherd.
I will send for him, but Oedipus, please share your fears with me.
I won't hide anything from you. My mind is overcome with foreboding. But no one is more important to me than you. My father was Polybus, king of Corinth, and my mother was Merope, a Dorian. I was held among the greatest of the citizens in Corinth, but all that changed one night at a party when a drunken man accused me of being a bastard. I was furious, but I held my temper. The next day I went to my parents and questioned them. They were deeply offended by the insult. They called the man a fool, and so I was relieved. But my suspicion remained, because the story continued to be whispered. Finally, without telling my parents, I went to the shrine at Delphi. But Apollo ignored my questions and instead foretold other horrors that would befall me. He said that I was fated to lie with my mother, to breed children who would be cursed by the world, and that I was doomed to murder my father. When I heard this, I fled. And in the days that followed, I sought a place where it would be impossible for me to fulfill the dreadful prophecies predicted at the oracle. As I journeyed, I came to a place like the place where Laius met with his death. I don't want to hide the truth from you. I was near a crossroads where 3 roads met when I encountered a group of travelers, and one, like you described, on horseback. One of them on foot approached me and forced me from the road. My mind was still aggrieved with what the oracle had said. I glared at the old man, and he saw my contempt. So when he passed by me, he struck me on the head with his staff. I waited until all of them had passed by me for some time. And then I secretly attacked from the rear and killed the one trailing behind before he could utter a sound. Then a second one in the same way. The old man turned and saw me, so I pulled him down and fought the remaining sentinel and killed him. And then the old man. There was another one with a goat across his shoulders and unarmed, so I let him live. Now if this man on horseback was Laius, then there is no man more cursed, more hated by the gods than I am. If I am this man, no citizen will welcome me into their home or speak to me. I will be shunned and driven from land to land. And I have pronounced this curse upon myself. Think of it. I have touched you with these hands that killed your husband. Was I born evil? I fled Corinth to avoid killing my father and marrying my mother. Am I not right in saying that this fate had to be devised by a savage god? No. No. May the gods prevent me from seeing that day. I would rather be banished from the face of the earth than own this destiny.
Great king, we too fear of what will be revealed. But there is hope. Wait till you see the shepherd face to face and hear his story.
Indeed, he is my only hope.
And when he comes, what will you ask him?
I need to find out if his story is the same as yours. That will clear me of all guilt.
What was it I said of such importance?
You explained that he said robbers killed Laius. Robbers. If he tells the same story, that it was several men, then it's clear I'm not the killer. One man is not several. But if he speaks of a single killer, traveling alone, then all the evidence points to me.
No, to be sure he said many. He cannot contradict himself now. I'm not the only one who heard it. Everyone in the city heard. Even if he changes his story now, it will not prove that the murder of Laius came about because of the prophecy. Apollo declared that Laius would be killed by his son, and that son did not kill him because he was left to die in his infancy. So if it's a matter of prophecy, I wouldn't waste another thought on it.
You may be right. But come, let someone go for the shepherd. This matter must be settled.
I'll send for him. I won't neglect what pleases you. Let's go in.
I pray my destiny will find me ever obedient to the gods, and my words and actions will always please them. It is they who enforce the laws of Mount Olympus, the realm of pure air and incorruptible light. No mortal nature gave birth to these laws, and no forgetfulness can lull them to sleep. They exist forever in the greatness of the gods.
A tyrant is born of pride and insolence. His ambition makes him climb higher and higher until he reaches a place with no foothold and must fall to the ruin that is his destiny. I pray that the gods allow the proud man to feed his ambition when it profits the state. May the eternal gods always protect us.
Pride and disdain tempt and outrage the gods' holy law. But a man walks into his own destruction if he is impious or takes what is not his. Then how will he protect himself from arrows of the gods? In cities where impiety is honored, no tragic poet sings, and no dancer celebrates the justice of fate.
Why should I visit the places of worship when the oracles are determined to be wrong? Zeus, if you're rightly called the master of all, then I call on you to set this straight. The oracles that predicted the murder of Laius are no longer regarded by kings and men, and Apollo's influence is no longer manifest.
Great leaders of Thebes, I come to visit the temples of the gods. The king is not himself. His mind is overwrought with visions of terror. He does not reason like a man of sense. Instead of weighing new prophecies against old, he hangs on every speaker's word that feeds his apprehension. My advice is ignored. So I come to entreat Apollo at his temple. Great Apollo, accept these gifts of my humility. Let this curse be lifted from our city. Make us clean again. For our king, the pilot of our ship, is possessed, and we are afraid.
Citizens, can you tell me where I might find the house of the king, Oedipus, or where the king himself might be found?
It is this very place, stranger. The king is inside. This is his wife and mother of his children.
Great queen, may the gods grant you and your house the fortune you deserve.
I wish the same for you. Your courtesy deserves alike good fortune. Why have you come? Do you have something to tell us?
Good news, my lady, for your house and your husband.
What news? Who sent you here?
I'm from Corinth, and the news that I bring carries both joy and pain.
What news can impart both joy and pain?
The word is that the people of Corinth intend to call Oedipus to be their king.
But what of old Polybus? He is their king.
No, he is in his grave. Death has taken him.
So the father of Oedipus is dead.
Yes, he is indeed dead.
Go. Go, one of you. Summon our master to us. Oracles of Apollo, where are you now? In your prophecies you declared that Oedipus must fled Corinth because he might kill his father, and now his father is dead, and Oedipus has had no hand in it.
Jocasta, why have you sent for me?
Listen to what this man says, and then tell me what has become of the solemn prophecies.
Who is this man? What is his news for me?
He comes from Corinth to announce your father's death.
Is this true?
I cannot say it more clearly. Polybus is dead.
Was it by treason or by illness?
When a man is old, it doesn't take much.
It was sickness then.
Yes, and old age.
Do you hear this, Jocasta? Why should we depend on seers and oracles? Look how wrong they are. They prophesied that I would kill my father. And now he is dead, and I had no part in it. The only way I could have killed him is if he died from my absence. Old Polybus has carried the oracles with him to his grave. Who will believe them anymore after this?
Did I not tell you so?
Oh, yes, but my fear misled me.
From now on, never think of these things again.
And yet, must I not fear my mother's bed?
Why should any man be afraid when the fates rule us and no man can see into the future? A man should live only for the present day. Have no more fears of sleeping with your mother. What man in dreams has not lain with his mother? From now on, no reasonable man should ever think such a thing.
You're right. But my mind will not be at peace while she is alive.
Still, there is comfort in your father's death.
Yes, but I fear the woman still alive.
Tell me, who is this woman you fear?
It's Merope, the wife of King Polybus.
Merope. Why should you be afraid of her?
An oracle of the gods, a dreadful omen.
Can you tell me about it, or are you sworn to silence?
I can tell you, and I will. Apollo said I was the man who should marry his own mother, shed his father's blood with his own hands. And so for all these years I've kept clear of Corinth, and no harm has come. Though it would have been sweet to see my parents again.
And is this the fear that drove you out of Corinth?
How could I risk it? I didn't wish to kill my father.
And I freed you from that fear.
Yes, and for that you will be rewarded.
In truth, it was hope of a reward that I came to escort you back home.
No, I can't return while my mother is still alive.
Ah, son, you still don't know who you are.
What do you mean?
Is this the fear that stops you from returning home?
Yes, I fear the oracle will come true.
About the murder and the incest.
That is the fear that is always in my heart.
Then all your fears were for nothing.
How can you say that? They're my parents, I their son.
Polybus was not your father.
Not my father.
No more than I am your father.
You're nothing to me.
I'm not. Neither was Polybus.
Why did he call me his son, if I was not his?
You were a gift. I handed you to him myself.
But how could he love me so, if I was not his?
He had no child of his own, so his heart opened to you.
And you, did you buy me or find me by chance?
I found you, not far from here, in a wooded grove on the slopes below Mount Kithaeron,
What were you doing there?
tending my flocks.
You were a shepherd.
Yes, and I saved your life that day.
From what did you save me?
Your ankle should tell you that.
Strange. You know about my childhood injury.
I cut the bonds that tied your ankles together.
I have had the scars as long as I can remember.
That's why you were called Oedipus.
Was it my father or my mother who did it?
I don't know. The man who gave you to me would know better than I.
Tell me!
He was said to be one of Laius' herdsmen.
You mean the Laius who was king here years ago?
Yes, King Laius, and he was one of his men.
Where is he? Tell me.
You live here. I don't. You would know best.
Do any of you know this man? Have any of you seen him in the town or in the field?
I think it is the same shepherd that you sent for already. Jocasta would know. Ask her.
Jocasta, do you know anything about him? Is this man he speaks of the same man we summoned?
Forget this herdsman. He's not worth your time.
But how can you say that when he may have evidence of my true birth?
I beg you. If you care anything for your own life, give up this search. What I am suffering is enough.
Jocasta, you have nothing to fear. If I am proved to be the child of slaves, what is that to you?
Listen to me, I beg you. Give up this search.
No, the truth must be known.
Oedipus, all I say is for your own good.
My own good. Your counsel tries my patience.
Oedipus, if the gods are merciful, you will never know who you really are.
Go, one of you, bring back the shepherd.
Oh, Oedipus. Ill-fated Oedipus. That's all I can call you, is ill-fated. From this moment on, you will be known as nothing else.
Why has she left us, Oedipus? She seems stricken with grief. I fear this silence conceals something dreadful.
Let it come. However base my birth, I want to know it. The queen is perhaps ashamed to think of my low origins. But I am a child of fortune and can't be easily dishonored. I am a child of fortune. And if this is so, how could I wish I were someone else? How could I not be glad to know my birth?
If I were a prophet, I would not fail to honor Mountain Kithaeron where our king was nursed by destiny. I can see the play of torches at the festival of the full moon. And I can see the chorus sing and dance under a great canopy of a limitless night. Apollo, we entreat you to hear our dance, see our song, and find favor with our king.
Child of destiny, who is your mother? Could she be one of the nymphs who lay with Pan, or a bride of Apollo? Could your father be Hermes, the subtle thief and herald of the gods? Or Dionysus, who roams these hills, drunk with wine, sowing the seeds of his excess and laughing at the daughters of fortune?
I think I can safely guess that this is the shepherd we seek. But since you've seen him before, you may know better. Is this him?
I know him. It is Laius' man. You can trust him.
And you, friend from Corinth, is this the man we were discussing?
This is the man.
Come here. Look at me and answer my questions. You served Laius.
Yes, sir. Born and reared in his house.
What kind of work did you do for him?
For most of my life a shepherd, sir.
In what part of the country did you live?
In the hills surrounding Mount Kithaeron.
And do you know this man?
No, not that I can recall.
And that's not strange, my lord. But maybe I should refresh his memory. He must remember when the two of us spent 3 whole seasons together. On Kithaeron or thereabouts. He had 2 flocks, I had 1. Each autumn I would drive mine home and he would drive his back to Laius' stables. Is this not true just as I have described it?
I guess you're right. It was a long time ago.
Well, maybe you remember that you handed me an infant boy.
What if I did? What are you trying to say?
Look at him. This man was that boy.
Damn you, hold your tongue!
Why do you refuse to answer? It's a simple question.
Master, what have I done wrong?
You haven't answered his question about the boy.
He doesn't know what he's saying. He's mistaken.
If you won't speak willingly, we have other ways to make you answer.
Master, you wouldn't hurt an old man.
You there, bind his arms behind him.
Master, what more do you want to know?
Did you give this man the child he speaks of?
I did. I did, and I wish I had died that day.
You will die now unless you tell me the truth.
Yet if I speak the truth, I'm worse than dead.
Very well, since you insist on delaying.
No! I have told you already that I gave him the boy.
Where did you get him? From your house? From somewhere else?
He was not mine. A man gave him to me.
Is that man here? Tell me what house he came from!
Master, I beg of you, do not ask me this.
You are a dead man if I have to ask you again.
Then the boy was from the house of Laius.
A slave child? Or a child of his own line?
I'm afraid to say it aloud.
I am afraid to hear it, but I must.
The child was said to be his child. But only your wife can tell you more.
My wife. Did she give it to you?
Yes.
Do you know why?
I was told to get rid of it.
Her own child.
There had been prophecies.
Tell me.
It was said that the boy would kill his own father.
Then why did you give it to this man?
I pitied the baby. I thought that this man would take him far away to his own country.
Oh, God. It was true. All the prophecies. Oh, light. I don't deserve to look on you. Cursed in birth. Cursed in marriage. In the blood I've shed with my own hands. Oh.
Oh, what difference is there between the life of a man and no life at all? What is the life that wins no more than a little joy and then disappears into oblivion? Oedipus, you're a man mocked by fate and cursed by the gods. You're a man envied by all men and then envied by none at all.
Oedipus, king, who all men called great, you stood before the lion-clawed Sphinx and ventured everything to free Thebes of her riddles of death. And you were rewarded. We honored you and tied our fortune to yours. We made you our king, and you raised us up. No king in our history has been more famous.
But now, what man living is more miserable? And who among us has a fate more savage? Oedipus, you have traded happiness and fame for the judgment of the gods. Oedipus, king of your father's bed, you planted your seed where your father had planted before. You entered the door that brought you into the world.
Child of Laius, your marriage bed is cursed. Your children are born to the woman who bore you. If I had only known you from afar, I would weep and sing a dirge of lamentation. I was blind and lulled myself to sleep, listening to the song of your name. Oedipus, Oedipus. Now I see that in time all actions come to justice.
Citizens, I have witnessed horrors that must grieve you if you are true-born Thebans and still honor our ancestors. The great rivers of this land cannot purge the misery from this house. It hides suffering that must come to light. Suffering not brought about unconsciously, but willed. The greatest griefs are those we cause ourselves.
We have grief enough already. What more can you lay at our feet?
The queen is dead.
Iocaste, dead? At whose hand?
Her own. The full horror of what happened you cannot know. You didn't see it. But I'll tell you as clearly as I can. She came into the house, overwhelmed with grief, and ran to her apartment and closed the doors behind her. Then, by that bed where she gave birth to a son that would murder her husband, we heard her cry out against Laius. She groaned and cursed the marriage that gave her a husband by a husband and children by her child.
Exactly when she died, I don't know. Because Oedipus burst into the room, moaning and shouting, "Give me a sword!" Then, where is this wife who is no wife? This mother who bore me and my children? None of us dared answer him, but he seemed to know, and straightway rushed to her doors and hurled his weight against them. The bolts gave way. It was then that he saw the queen hanging. He cried out and cut the noose and lowered her to the ground. How terrible is what happened next. The king seized a long golden pin from the queen's hair, raised it up, and then thrust it with all his might into both his eyes, crying, "No more! No more will I look on the faces of my crimes. No more will I look on the horrors I've committed. From now on, darkness will rule." And as he spoke, he continued to strike at his eyes, not once, but many times. Both husband and wife have seen their happiness turned upside down. Where is it now? Now is all wailing and ruin, disgrace, death. All the misery of all of mankind dwells here now, in this house.
The king, is he in agony still?
He is calling for someone to lead him to the gates, so that all the city may look upon his father's murderer, his mother's. No, I cannot say it. Then he will leave Thebes, self-exiled, in order that the curse which he himself pronounced may depart from this house. He is weak. There is none to lead him, so terrible is his suffering. But you will see. Look! The doors are opening. In a moment, you will see a sight that would crush a heart of stone.
Oh, dreadful sight! We are not bred to endure such misery.
Oedipus, what madness inspired you to inflict such a punishment on yourself?
No. I can't even look at you, poor, ruined one. If I could, I would speak, ponder, question. No, you make me shudder.
Where am I? What have the gods done to me? Am I cast out?
Yes. To a place where men refuse to hear and see.
Night overcomes me like a shroud. What ill wind brought me here? Oh, God, the pain! If only I could gouge out my memory as I did my eyes.
Is it not strange? You suffer it twice over. Remorse in pain. Pain in remorse.
Oh, friend, I know your voice. You are faithful even yet. Will you stay here and care for the blind?
What god urged you to blacken your sight?
Apollo. It was Apollo. He burdened me with a black fate, and so I chose blindness. Why should I see when everywhere I look there is misery?
That is true.
And now, what is left? Joy? Love? What greeting can comfort me now? Someone, take me away from this house, away from Thebes!
Your faith is clear. You're not blind to that.
I curse the man who tore the shackles from my ankles. He stole my merciful death and delivered me to a life of misery. If I had died then, the burden of my life would not have destroyed the ones I love.
I would have wished the same.
If I had died then, I would not have married my mother and murdered my father. No God is my friend.
I cannot condone your remedy. On top of everything else, you have added blindness.
Don't counsel me anymore. The punishment I have laid upon myself is just. If I had eyes, I would have to look upon my father in the afterworld. How could I bear the sight of my mother? And do you think my children, born as they were, would be sweet to my eyes? No, never. And how can I look upon my people when I cursed the crime and then expose myself as the criminal? If there had been an easy way to block off my hearing, I would have done that too. A man is nothing but a miserable carcass. If only I had never uncovered the truth about my birth. I was happy to call Polybus father and Corinth home. It was a fair place. I am cursed, and I'm the son of parents who were cursed. At a crossroads, I met my fate. Oh, what this hand has done! To spill my father's blood, my own blood, with my own hands. Someone, please take me away!
It is not for us to decide. Creon must now rule Thebes, and only he can judge what you ask.
Creon. Can I hope that he will judge me fairly when I called him a liar and accused him of my crimes?
I have not come to mock you, Oedipus, nor to reproach you. Citizens, if you have lost all respect for the dignity of man, at least fear Apollo who sees all. This pollution cannot remain in the eye of day. Nor earth, nor air, nor water can accept it. Take him in. Decency demands that only his close kindred see his troubles.
Gentle friend, whose gentleness to such a one as I am is more than could be hoped for. I only ask one thing, for your sake, not mine.
What is it you would have me do?
Drive me out of this place, out of this land, out of the sight of men.
Had I completely understood the will of Apollo, I would have done this earlier.
Now his law is clear. He who kills his father must also die.
That is the meaning of it, yes. But we must discover clearly what is to be done.
You would learn more about a man like me?
You are ready now to listen to the voice of the gods?
I will listen. But first, it is to you I must turn. I beg you, hear me. The woman in there, give her whatever burial you think proper. She's your sister. But let me go, Creon. Let me purge my father's city of the pollution of my living here. Send me to Mount Kithaeron, that I have made famous, the place my mother and father chose for my tomb. Let me die there as they hoped I would. I doubt if I shall die of any sickness or in any natural way. I have been preserved for some unthinkable fate. But let that be. As for my daughters, who have shared my table, who never before have been parted from their father, take care of them, Crayon. Do this for me. And will you let me take their hands a last time, and let us weep together? Be kind, great prince, be kind. If I could but touch them again, they would be mine, as when I had eyes. Oh, God, is it my dear children? Oh, Crayon, God bless you for this. Oh, daughters, these hands that touch you are your brothers. Hands that brought your father's once clear eyes to this new way of seeing. I had neither sight nor knowledge then. Your father by the woman who was the source of his own life. And I weep when I think how you will be treated with bitterness the rest of your days. And when you are ripe for marriage, what man will resist the reproach that will cling to you and your children? What curse have we not suffered? Your father killed his father, and then fathered you out of the womb that held him. That is what they will say of you. Then who can you ever marry? There are no bridegrooms for you. Crayon, I implore you, don't let these girls wander like beggars, poor and alone. You are the only father they have now. Take pity on them. They are only children, friendless except for you. Promise me this, great prince, and give me your hand in token of it. Daughters, there is much you will understand when you are older. I could tell you much if you could understand me. As it is, I only hope the gods will grant you a life that is better than the life they gave your father.
Enough. You have wept enough.
I know.
Time eases all things.
But you will promise.
That is a promise the gods must make.
But since the gods hate me...
No, they will grant your wish.
Then you will send me from Thebes.
I cannot speak beyond my knowledge. But come now. Let your children go in.
No, don't take them from me!
Do not seek to be master here. You must understand that all your decisions led to your destruction.
Men and women of the city, look upon Oedipus. This is the man who solved the riddle of the Sphinx.
This is the king that every man envied. Look at him now, pulled down and swallowed by the storm of his own life and by the gods.
Keep your eyes on that last day, on your dying. Happiness and peace are not ours unless we can look back at our lives and say, I lived. I did not succumb to suffering.